Bat and the Waiting Game, Chapter 8, Kitchens. There were some terrible things about Bat's new after-school schedule. 1. The extra time away from Thor. 2. The uncomfortable feeling of going to a new place, itching Bat like the heat rash he sometimes got on summer's hottest days. 3. The inconvenience of being away from his very own home, his perfectly comfortable room. But Bat had to admit the next afternoon, staring up at Israel's dad's massive, rumbling black truck, the ride wasn't one of them. Bat had never been in such an interesting vehicle. Mom drove a perfectly average station wagon, and Dad had an uncomfortably tight sports car with a hump in the middle of the back instead of a seat. Israel's dad's truck was totally different. It was like seeing a Great Dane after a lifetime of Chihuahuas. It was the ostrich of the car world, impressively large. Tuesday's school day had ended, and when Bat and Israel walked out of the building to the pickup line, Bat immediately spotted the truck. "I think it's the coolest truck I've ever seen," Bat said to Israel. "I didn't know you cared about trucks," Israel said. "Neither did I," said Bat. "Hi, boys," said Israel's dad through the open window as he pulled up to the front of the line. He leaned over and unlocked the passenger side door. "Hop in." The truck was so tall that Bat had to use the chrome bar that ran beneath the door to step up and climb in. Standing on the bar, peering into the cab of the truck, Bat found himself at a loss for words. It had never occurred to Bat to care the least about a vehicle. He liked fur and feathers and scales, teeth, and claws and tails. The truck was just chrome and paint and rubber and steel, but somehow it felt alive, and peering into its cab was like looking into the heart of a dragon. "I like your truck, Mr. Zimmerman," Bat said. "Thank you, Bat," he answered. "Call me Tom." "Tom," Bat said, half to himself, as Israel's dad pulled forward the front passenger seat so the boys could climb into the narrow rear bench. It had, Bat noticed with satisfaction, 3 seatbelts. He plopped himself happily in the center seat, latched his belt, and said to Tom, "Tell me everything about this truck." By the time they pulled into Israel's driveway 10 minutes later, Bat knew the difference between a V8 and V6 engine. He knew that a drivetrain was and what it was better to have 4-wheel drive than 2-wheel drive. He knew that Tom's truck could tow up to 12,000 pounds, give or take a few, Tom said. And he knew with 99% surety, because that was as sure as you could be about anything, that one day he would drive a truck exactly like Israel's dad. Tom put the car in park and turned it off. "Here we are," he said, which normally would have prompted Bat to say something about how that was the kind of statement that really didn't mean anything. Because it's always true. You could always say, "Here we are," no matter where you are, and you'd be right. But Bat didn't point that out this time. "Thank you for driving us," he said instead, remembering his manners like Mom had told him to try and do. "Any time," Tom answered. And then he said, "You're a cool kid, Bat." That was definitely the first time anyone had ever called Bat cool. Bat followed Israel into the house, putting his backpack on the kitchen counter next to where Israel sets his. Bat looked around as Israel slammed open the pantry and rustled through it, looking for a snack. It was a very different kitchen than the 2 kitchens Bat was most used to. His kitchen at home had mostly empty countertops, tiled in plain white squares. There was a bowl of fruit and a toaster, and that was about it. Everything else Mom kept put away, as she said, habit from keeping a clean operating room. The kitchen at Dad's apartment was pretty empty too, but for a different reason. He had only lived in the apartment for a year and a half, and he really didn't have much stuff. Israel's kitchen would have made a terrible operating room. The countertops were blue, and it was hard to tell under all the stacks of colorful ceramic bowls and cups and plates that were piled all over them. The walls were light yellow, but it was hard to tell under the pictures that were hanging. Some framed, some loose taped sketches, all over them. Israel emerged from the pantry with a bag of pistachio nuts, a box of cereal, and a chocolate bar. "Do you want a snack?" he said to Bat. The first words he'd spoken since they'd left school. "You just want to go hang out with my dad some more." The chocolate bar looked delicious. "Snack, please," Bat said.